Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to the 25th Annual Fredericton MSA Dinner. My name is Greg Sprague, Chair of the MSA Communications Committee, and I will be your MC for the next 90 minutes. We're coming to you live tonight from MSA Control in the Fredericton Motor Inn. Looks a lot like NASA Control in Houston. This is going to be a very high-tech first for MSA. So please realize that this approach is something quite new for all of us. You who are watching via Zoom, and for those of us on this side of the cameras who are delivering an event with live audio and video. There are bound to be a few glitches during the evening, so bear with us. We hope that in the end you will feel the evening was worth your time and that you will find it exciting, entertaining, and maybe even enlightening. Thank you for supporting the MSA in our efforts to conserve the Atlantic salmon in the Miramichi River. You may have noticed by now that this year's annual Fredericton Salmon Conservation Dinner is a little different from the past 24 events. With COVID-19 restrictions, we were unable to host our usual gala dinner and live auction, so we're trying something totally different. An online event where you get to choose your own menu, get your own drinks, participate from the comfort of your own home. Despite COVID, we still need to raise money for salmon conservation, which is a larger challenge than normal in 2020, as we cannot host our dinners not just here in Fredericton, but as well in Moncton and St. John and Heartland and Boston or wherever. Nevertheless, we still need to raise funds, as these events have been a major source of revenue for MSA, far surpassing anything raised by selling memberships or anything else. We hope that even though we can't do an in-person event, you will still be willing to make a donation if you haven't already. Remember, it's for the salmon and they are counting on you. Apart from donations, we are raising revenue this evening by hosting an online auction with more than 80 auction items. The auction closes this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Atlantic. So keep your eye on the auction site by going to www.miramicisalmon.ca, the MSA website, and clicking on the green Fredericton auction button. Finally, this event is being recorded. So if any friends who missed this event, or if you have to step out for a few minutes, the recording will be on the MSA website. Again, www.miramicisalmon.ca. We'll have it up there in a few days. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to dinner chair Tristan Hovey. I've fished with Tristan's grandfather, Albert, and his father, Dawson. If we are going to have any hope of having salmon in the Miramichi in the future, it's critically important that MSA be actively working to attract younger members like Tristan, people who have a passion for salmon conservation. Tristan.
Thank you, Greg. Welcome to everyone. I guess the camera's down here, isn't it? Not your typical dinner for sure, but I think we still wanted to take the opportunity to connect with MSA members, people who are keen about the Miramichi and the Miramichi way of life. The dinner, or its virtual dinner as we've been calling it, allows us to reach some of our counterparts from the MSA board in the US. Some of those keen anglers from the US that weren't unfortunately able to make it up this year, other parts of the country that weren't able to come and enjoy the Miramichi fully, and maybe an opportunity for some of the folks in your family who are there with you tonight to learn a little bit more about the Miramichi way of life, where things are at with the Miramichi salmon, and maybe some others who aren't quite yet MSA members as well. Tonight's focus is really on raising funds for conservation programs through the MSA, and it's really important that folks take the time, if they're able, to donate, as well as to check out some of the auction items. And I think we're really hoping that some of these different trips, some of these different tools, rods, and otherwise will be put to good use next year. So let's have some fun tonight. Looking forward to an action-packed agenda, and I'll turn it back over to Greg here to walk us through it.
Thanks very, very much, Tristan. We're going to start the program with a note, with a presentation, a video by Mark Hambrook, president of MSA. As you may or may not know, he may be retiring at the end of 2020, so keep your eye open for an update on that. No one works harder for salmon conservation than Mark Hambrook. He's a true leader in Atlantic salmon conservation. Despite facing incredible challenges on a daily basis, Mark remains calm, cool, and collected. Unlike myself, who blood boils at the mention of smallmouth bass in the Miramichi. Anyway, cue the video for Mark Hambrook, and I'll be back to you in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Hi, Mark Hambrook, President of MSA. I want to thank everyone for joining us for this event tonight. As I kind of review 2020, what a year, record low water flows, high temperatures. I mean, a lot of our brooks almost seemed like they dried up. And certainly on top of that, the COVID-19 situation made for a devastating impact to our outfitters, to the employees of private camps. And it also had an effect on the nonprofit sector as well. But fortunately, we've been able to innovate. We've gone with some online auctions. We had a very successful small dinner in St. John. That was very good. We're trying this new Fredericton live event, and there will probably be another get-together of some time in Heartland later this fall. So everyone has to rethink how they do things today. And we're trying to innovate. We've also had a big changeover in staff this year. A lot of people retiring, people left new jobs. So it's been a kind of a year of turmoil within the MSA, to say. Looking back at the fish this year, we had a pretty good early run of salmon in the southwest Miramichi. I guess for about 10 days, you could actually see the fish swimming up the river in waves. So that was good. And what it meant is that over the summer, there were a good number of salmon held up in cold water areas. And certainly as you went up the southwest Miramichi to the upper areas, there was lots of fish around. So some of those camps up there had some excellent fishing. But the summer was nothing moved, and even now we're into the fall. There's some fish showing up at the DFO trap nets, which only started fishing in September, and they're only fishing 5 days a week. But from that, we can see there are some fish to go up the river, but the river is still too low for them to seem to move up. The northwest was not as good. Some fish went up early, and our barrier counts are up a little bit for large salmon on the northwest. But in general, the northwest is going to have another devastating year. Smallmouth bass, well, this has been a very frustrating file to work on. Smallmouth bass have been in Miramichi Lake since 2008, and we've been trying hard to eradicate the bass. So we formed an eradication committee made up of First Nations, other conservation groups, and been pushing an application now for the past 2 years to get approval to rotenome the lake. And now fish have escaped into the southwest Miramichi. And so as we were finalizing our application for the lake, we had to modify it to include a section of the southwest Miramichi. So we still don't have approval yet, and we missed the window back in July because we needed approval by then for an application in September. We needed that lead time in order to order rotenome. So that passed. And now we actually have to do another provincial EIA, which is in process now. We think we'll get that permit for 2021, but it's been a very difficult road, a lot of work to get this application in. And if it had gone through, what a perfect year to do an eradication. Water levels this low, we would have been able to use much less product. It would have been much more cost efficient, and anyway, and a better chance of getting a complete eradication. Very interested to see what's going to happen in Nova Scotia and Piper Lake. the Provincial Department of Environment or Fisheries Management applied for a permit to eradicate smallmouth bass in Piper Lake. They put the application in a few weeks ago and plan on doing it in mid-October. If that happens, wow, things can actually happen somewhere else. Other than the smallmouth bass, one of the big things that happened with us this year is we took over the operation of the provincial barriers on the Dungarvan and Northwest Miramichi under contract from the provincial government. So we weren't looking to do this, but it came our way, and so we did it, and it's worked out very well. I think our employees are happy, the same employees that have worked there, and the whole season went without any incidents of any kind. So we're quite pleased with how that worked out. But there's lots of work to do for the Atlantic salmon, and even the low water this year. You know, the poor juveniles were crowded. There's not as much habitat, and it all dries up. So it's been a hard year on the fish, and we have a struggle to get the salmon back. In our SAS program, which is taking smolts, wild salmon smolts, bring them in the hatchery and growing them up to be adults to put in the river, that really has been another devastating year for us. We just got permission to put 80 fish, 40 pairs of salmon in the study area in the Northwest Mill Stream as part of the UNB study, but we have 2,500 large salmon that are ready to go, ready to spawn, and we're not going to be able to put them out this year. And you know, yet in other jurisdictions they seem to be able to do it, but we seem to be running into a struggle in getting First Nations and DFO approval. So we're still working away at that. It's a great strategy, and I guess we'll soon get to the point where this may be the only way forward. Anyway, thanks for participating in this event, and bid well, and thank you for supporting the MSA.
Thank you very much, Mark, for that presentation and for your leadership over the years. At this point, we're going to bring you a very exciting fishing video from Hookay. If you're not familiar with Hookay, the concept was born on the Restigouche in 2012. It's a Canadian brand with a mission to promote conscious hunting and sustainable fishing. Through design, videography, and photography, they share our vision and inspire a community of adventurers to explore and better understand the nature that surrounds them all. Brian, cue up the Hookay video.
Un gros saumon frais, ça a ramassé à la ligne, j'en reviens pas.
c'est rare que je prenne de la bière à 10 h le matin. Là, je sais pas quelle heure il est.
C'est rare que tu pognes des saumons aussi?
Ouais, mais c'est rare une bière. On va faire une petite gorgée. Yeah!
Bravo!
Vive la pêche au saumon!
Ouais.
I'll be holding you in the morning light. I'll be holding on to you in the morning
Okay, videos. What a great concept. I love these guys. I love their energy and their enthusiasm and their beautiful, beautiful work. So at this point in the program, we have a welcome message from the chairman of our board, Debbie Norton. Debbie has recently taken over this position. It's a very important job and she has a big job to do, big boots to fill. So welcome from Debbie Norton.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Debbie Norton, and on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Miramichi Salmon Association, I would like to express our sincere gratitude for your support here tonight at our Fredericton dinner. The monies raised tonight, as always, will go towards conservation work on the Miramichi, and we look forward to seeing you all next year in 2021 on the river. Have a great night.
Thank you, Debbie. At this point in the program, I'm going to turn things over to Butch Dalton. Butch is going to talk about our auctions, and again, it closes at 9 o'clock tonight, or I can say it's open until 9 p.m. Eastern, 10 o'clock tonight for you to get bids in. So Butch is going to review 4 of the top items. Butch.
Hello, everyone. I'm Butch Dalton, the events manager for the Miramichi Salmon Association, and I just wanted to speak a little bit about the auction. We've had the auction running now for a couple of weeks, and it's been doing great. Of course, all the money raised tonight goes towards Atlantic salmon conservation in the Miramichi. So we encourage you to bid generously and vigorously. So just to go through a couple of the items here, Lyndon and Beth Fennedy typically always donate cake or pie, 1 cake or pie a month for a year to this event, and this year is no different. So the bidding is currently at $110, which is a great value. I mean, that's less than 10 bucks a cake or a pie. So if you can, or you like pie or cake, we encourage you to bid on this item. We also have up for bid a $350 gift certificate to Greystone Brewery, and that comes with a swag bag with some unidentified items in there, but guaranteed to be good items. We also have a bunch of fishing trips, many of which I'll go through later on. However, I'd like to highlight now this soapstone salmon carving done by Charles Clark of Burt's Corner. It's not a very big one, but it's very beautiful. Charles has done a lot of work for us and was kind of a student of Bill Page's, who was a friend of mine, and I'm sure many people know. The next item is a Mountain Channel, which is always a great fishing trip. It's 2 rods for 2 full days of fishing. Great fishing at Mountain Channel usually, and great accommodations and hosts and food and whatnot. So you arrive on day 1, depart noon on day 3, and it's for a mutually agreeable time in 2021. So those are our first 4 items. We look forward to some vigorous bidding. Back to you, Greg.
Thank you very, very much, Butch. Next up on our program this evening is a message from Premier Blaine Higgs. Blaine Higgs was raised in Forest City, a small community on the international border between New Brunswick and Maine. His father, Carl, was a customs officer, his mother, Bertha, a teacher in Fosterville. Blaine obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in mechanical engineering from UNB in 1977. He became Premier in 2018 and was recently re-elected. Premier Higgs loves the outdoors, grew up guiding with his own father. A friend of the salmon, he also spoke at our dinner in 2019, and we are pleased to welcome him back this year. Guys, cue up the Blaine Higgs video.
Hello everyone, bonjour. It's no secret that recreational fishing is close to my heart. I come by my appreciation of New Brunswick's great outdoors naturally, as my father was a guide and I happily followed in his footsteps. We are fortunate to have an organization like the Miramichi Salmon Association in our province, working diligently to protect an important piece of our history and our future. The social, spiritual, and economic importance of Atlantic salmon to communities in New Brunswick cannot be stressed enough. On ne rappellera jamais assez l'importance sociale, spirituelle et économique du saumon de l'Atlantique pour la communauté du Nouveau-Brunswick. The Miramichi River system brings millions of dollars to our rural economy. In addition, there are thousands of New Brunswickers who depend on our outdoor sector. That doesn't include the many New Brunswickers, as well as the visitors to our province, who are drawn to the Miramichi region by its unspoiled natural beauty. The Miramichi Salmon Association plays a crucial role when it comes to conservation, protection, restoration, and promoting Atlantic salmon in the entire Miramichi River system. La Miramichi Salmon Association joue un rôle essentiel pour la conservation, la protection, la restauration et la promotion du saumon de l'Atlantique et de l'ensemble du réseau hydrographique de la rivière Miramichi. For 66 years, the Miramichi Salmon Association has watched over the Miramichi as a champion of conservation on behalf of anglers, outfitters, guides, and others with economic, environmental, and recreational interests in the river. Every member of the association, along with its many supporters, should be proud of what has been achieved through hard work and dedication. Our government depends on you, the people out on our waterways, to be our eyes and ears, as you can give us a realistic picture of what is happening in and around our rivers, lakes, and streams. Notre gouvernement a besoin de vous. Il a besoin que les gens qui passent du temps sur nos corps, d'eau soient nos yeux et nos oreilles, parce que vous pouvez nous donner un portrait réaliste de la situation en ce qui concerne nos rivières et nos lacs. We recognize that there are challenges facing the Atlantic salmon population. Approximately 15,000 salmon returned to the Miramichi in 2019. This is among the lowest large salmon return on record. Atlantic salmon populations across the North Atlantic have been experiencing significant declines. The decline in salmon numbers has been attributed to many factors, including at-sea mortality, predation, habitat degradation, poaching, invasive species, and changing environmental conditions in both marine and freshwater habitats. That's why it is so important that we continue to work together. Our government depends on associations such as yours, as you see the issues firsthand and can provide a unique perspective and possible solutions. We all want to ensure a return to healthy salmon populations. We look forward to continuing to work with the Miramichi Salmon Association and other partners to find ways to make this happen. Working together, we will chart a course for management, conservation, and restoration. Nous avons hâte de continuer à travailler avec la Miramichi Salmon Association et les autres partenaires pour trouver des manières d'avoir à nouveau une population de saumon de l'Atlantique en santé. En travaillant ensemble, nous allons définir la voie à suivre pour la gestion, la conservation et la restauration. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you, Premier Higgs, for that inspirational message. It renews my hope that maybe there is a future for the salmon on the Miramichi and that maybe we can all work together to make it happen. Well, what would a get-together like this be without a storyteller? And tonight we have one all queued up. Vin Swayze is a longtime Miramichi resident who's been guiding on the river for over 60 years. And like all great guides, he's known for his stories. And like all great storytellers, you never know exactly how much of any given story is true. So Brian, cue up Vin Swayze.
I'm Vince Swayze. I was born here in the Miramichi in Boys Town. The river actually does run through my property, and I've spent most of my life here, a few years away, back and forth. But I returned here in 1961 and stayed, and I've been fishing and guiding for all those years, every year. A few years back, I went to a fundraiser auction, and I bought a rod and reel line, and it was a nice fishing outfit, and we went to Rocky Brook, fished at the mouth of Sisters. Mark Hambrook was on one side of the pool and I on the other, and there were some people at the next pool down we called to, and there was a guide, and I started fishing, and the reel was a left-hand line, and the line was put on right-handed. So it was really backwards to the way the drag was. So I talked to Mark, and he said, well, I don't know, it come that way, and nobody checked it. So I said, oh well, so I cut my fly off, stripped out all the line, let it go down through the pool, turned the reel and reversed it, wound it all on left-hand line. And I got into the casting line, all the backing was back on, and it tightened up. I first thought I got hooked around a rock, so I gave it a couple of pulls, and a salmon jumped. Mark said, that looked like your line. Well, knowing then there was something on there, I said, yeah, I got a salmon on. He said, how could you have a salmon on with no fly? Well, when the fish jumped or the line hit it, it was wrapped around the mouth of the fish, the line went in there and looped. It was half hitched around the bottom jaw like that. And about 30 to 40 feet of line dragging behind it. The fish jumped 7 times. We got it ashore, and by that time there was about 6 other witnesses who couldn't believe this could happen, and so I did prove that you don't need a barb, you don't need a hook, all you need is to be darn lucky. Many times when I was a lot younger, I used to do that trip from Half Moon all the way down to Boys Town, or sometimes down part way to, and I was guiding Bud Bird down the river, and of course it makes it much easier when the water isn't high to be standing up, to read the water on where to go. And I got to Burnt Hill rapids, and very rough. And there's a spot where you have, right at the top of it, you have to snub your canoe and kind of wait till that hole fills in with water and then let it go. So I held the canoe long enough and went to pull the pole, and the pole was caught. The canoe started and it pulled me out of the canoe. So the pole stood straight up, and I just wrapped my legs and hung on like that, and I'm 2 feet above the water. And the way the canoe goes, and my guest in it, down through the rapids, all the way down through Burnt Hill. And Merlin Palmer was behind, another guide with a guest. He snubbed his canoe, and I jumped in his canoe. And didn't even have my sneakers wet. He caught up to my canoe down below, about nearly 100 yards, and I stepped back in it. Bud turned around, looked at me, and he said, I've made a lot of trips down the river with some of Clayton Stewart's best guides, and you're the only man that ever brought me through Burnt Hill Rapids and never hit a rock. Of course, he didn't know I was even out of the canoe, but...
Vin, everybody raise your hand if you really truly believe either one of those stories. No, I don't see any. Well, Mark Hambrook said he witnessed the first one. I talked to Bud Bird. Bud Bird says he doesn't remember that, but I'm sure it's absolutely true. So at this point, I would like to thank our sponsors for this evening. This event is extremely important to MSA in a year that we've had to cancel our major fundraising events, including the Fredericton dinner. We would like to thank our major sponsors who came through for tonight's event, even though we can't all gather in person. So thank you, Cox and Palmer. Thank you, A.V. Nakowik. And thank you, Marwood, for coming to bat for MSA and the Atlantic Salmon. We also, at this time, would like to thank all of those individuals and organizations and businesses who donated auction items, more than 50 of you who donated items to our live auction, which we hope is going to bring in well over $20,000 this evening. If you take a quick look at that slide, you'll see companies owned by people like Jim Cooper, you'll see Wes Ward, you'll see Newfoundland Outfitting, on and on and on, Fredericton Golf Club, Pat and Manley Price, individuals and organizations that care deeply about the Atlantic salmon and are willing to donate to help conserve and preserve the salmon and its habitat on the Miramichi. So at this point, it's back to Butch to review some more auction bargains. Butch.
Hello, everyone. Me again, just back to review a couple more of the auction items. I'm going to start with 2 rods over 2 days. At the Ledges. Ledges is a great place to fish, great food, great accommodations, and Andrew Anthony is probably one of the best guides you can find. So we encourage you to bid on that. We also have a great trip to Country Haven. It's 2 rods for 1 day with Byron Kuglin. Country Haven's a great place to fish. Again, a great trip. The bidding is currently at $900. So if you want to get in on that one, it would be a great time to do so. We've also got a painting by a local artist named Lindsay Vaughn. She's a well-known artist here in Fredericton and donates a painting to us every year for our fundraiser. This one is called One Way. Lindsay McKay, I'm sorry. This one is called One Way. It's a beautiful painting. It's currently in my office. I'd be sad to see it go. And the last thing we have is a steel fire pit donated by Craig Manufacturing, which is a gorgeous fire pit, would look great in anybody's camp. Yeah, it's probably 3 feet wide, 2 feet high, and it's inscribed with the MSA initials and a couple of nature scenes on the side. So back to you, Greg, and we'll have another couple items in a minute.
Thanks very much, Butch. So people, keep your eye on that auction. Remember, you have until 10 o'clock Atlantic this evening to get some bids in and walk away with some of those 80+ items that we have up there. Next on our program, a very special message. Jake Allen was a Stanley Cup winner with the St. Louis Blues in 2019, is now a goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens, much to the dismay of the few Leaf fans still in existence. Jake is an avid fisherman, has his camp on the Miramichi on the Maine Southwest, and is often seen up and down the river in the summer when he's not away, formerly in St. Louis, and now only has to go to Montreal and back to get to the Miramichi. So Brian, cue up our message from Jake Allen.
Hey guys, Jake Allen from Fredericton, New Brunswick. Talk a little bit about the MSA and a bit about salmon fishing in the province of New Brunswick and what the MSA does for the Miramichi region and the river as well. I've personally been salmon fishing probably the last 7 or 8 years. Really slowly got into it, but now it's a full-blown passion, a hobby, and is really second nature to me whenever I can get out. Salmon fishing in New Brunswick obviously is a great rich tradition and history, and so many of the families that are still on the river today have generations and generations of history dating back, and it's a part of people's lives. It runs through their blood. It's it's second nature to them. The river means everything, and the salmon obviously come along with that, and salmon fishing brings so much to these people in our province, and obviously in tourism and in finances and in a passion and responsibility that a lot of New Brunswickers, especially the people that have grown up and been brought up on this river, feel like they have a sense of responsibility for the river to thrive and to succeed, and obviously that's where the MSA comes in as well, and they're doing their very best and in certain circumstances to make everything work and make everything come full circle. Conservation leads to more salmon, and a healthy river and a healthy watershed leads to more tourism, more opportunities. Families have the opportunity to thrive, and when that happens, everything sort of comes together into pieces. And I think the MSA is what the work that they've been doing in the past and currently are trying to put the pieces together to give the river every opportunity it can to succeed, and obviously the fish in it as well. So I think a healthy watershed brings everything full circle, and when it does for that, then it's beneficial for everyone. People who depend on it for livelihood, people do for the province, for tourism, for just recreational anglers, for a passion, for the love of it. And we want to be able to see the next generations have the opportunities to have a successful and healthy river. People that have been lucky enough to be on the river the last 30 or 40 years, what it used to be like, and we're trying to make that river come back to its healthy population. So all the work that the MSA is doing through these auctions, the work they do in the field and the rivers and the testing and the studies, it's all trying to make this river the best it possibly can be for the salmon, for the fish, and for the people. So anyway, I just want to say thanks for joining the live stream and the auctions and contributing towards everything MSA does, in the river, outside the river and in the province. So thanks again.
For sending us that video, and we're really delighted to have you. Just one more example of young people getting involved with MSA and Atlantic salmon conservation. So thank you for being such a great spokesman for the river. So we've had some videos, we've had some stories, we've had the premiere, we've had auction. What else could we possibly do tonight? How about some music? Have we got some music for you? David and Richard Wade are both talented musicians, and we're delighted to have them performing for us tonight. The Wade brothers were inducted into the Brunswick Country Music Hall of Fame in 1993. The Wade family connection to the Miramichi goes way back to Wade's fishing camps on the Howard Road. The camps were operated by their grandfather, Charlie Wade, and later on by their father, Herb Wade. Both brothers are MSA Life members, and David's daughter, Misty, and her husband, Tristan Hovey, are carrying on that tradition. The Wade brothers' first song this evening is one that David wrote just for tonight's event and takes us back to fishing in 1953. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wade brothers.
Well, welcome to the MSA virtual, it's not a dinner, is it? It's virtual fundraiser auction. And
we're glad to be here.
Yes, and want to thank those involved with this for inviting us to sing. I wrote a song just for this occasion called The Mighty Miramichi. It was called two other names before Hudson Hovey, Tristan's son, said, call it The Mighty Miramichi. So that's what we're ending up calling it. Anyway, I'm going to take you on a journey back to 1953. That's the opening line, and Rich and I were 6 years old, and we used to fish at the mouth of Black Brook, or up Black Brook, all the way up to the dam. While my dad would be either in fishing Black Brook when Lou Butterfield wasn't there, if you remember him.
We're on the run or our home pool.
Anyway,
lots of pools.
Just to legalize a little bit, from the hook. Gonna take you on a journey back to 1953. My dad took me fishing to the mighty Miramichi. My dad knew the best time to get to the fishing hole. Just a can of worms for me and my trusty fishing pole. Oh, the mighty Miramichi, that's the place for me. Casting a line into the river, hoping for a strike to make my line go tight. The Miramichi would always deliver. Dad had his hardy cane rod and Orvis line and reel, fishing with a dry fly to fill his fishing creel. Dad would fish for salmon, me for speckled trout. Just being with my father, what was life was all about. Oh, the mighty Miramichi, that's the place for me. Casting a line into the river, hoping for a strike to make my line go tight. Oh, the Miramichi would always deliver. Now those days are over, the best days I ever had. Fishing for salmon is me and my great dad. Now I'm teaching my kids what the grandpa taught to me, just how to toss a hook and line in the mighty Miramichi. Oh, the mighty Miramichi, that's the place for me. Casting a line into the river, hoping for a strike to make my line go tight. The Miramichi would always deliver. You know the words. Oh, the mighty Miramichi, that's the place for me. Casting a line into the river, hoping for a strike to make my line go tight. Oh, the Miramichi would always deliver. Oh yes, the Miramichi would always deliver.
David and Richard, it makes you want to just put down your rod, take off your waders, and dance right across the river. That was terrific. I think we need an encore. And they've agreed. They have a second song also written by David. A song written by David, very relevant in this time of COVID crisis, about someone who wants to get away from the big city life and come home to New Brunswick. So, cue up David and Richard, song number 2 from the Wade Brothers.
Okay, this is a song I wrote from, it's about 20 years old now, maybe older. It's called Going Home. It's for those people who are away from, say, New Brunswick with this COVID crisis and everything. Maybe they want to come back and do a little salmon fishing, get away from the city they're in. So I wrote this for my brother-in-law, who was an air traffic controller in Edmonton and then Toronto, and he couldn't wait to get back to Nova Scotia. Now he's living here in New Brunswick, just down over the hill.
Yep.
But it's called Going Home. And
his name is Roland, by the way. I've had enough of this city. I've had enough of this dirt. I've had enough of this concrete. I've had enough of this work.
I've had enough of this heartache. I've had enough of this pain. I've had enough confusion. It's about to drive me insane. So I'm going where the grass is greener. I'm going where the sun still shines. I'm going where the air is cleaner. I'm going back to those great friends of mine.
And I'm going where the folks are kind of strangers. I'm going where they don't let you down. I'm going where life's not so full of dangers. And now I thank God I'm homeward bound. As the miles go by, I wonder why I ever took so long to go back to the trees and feel the breeze blows in my hometown. After 15 hours of driving, I only stopped for gas. I can see my hometown, I'm finally home at last. I can see my mother, I can see my dad. I can see my old grandpa, he's the best friend I ever had. So I'm going where the grass is greener. I'm going where the sun still shines. I'm going where the air is cleaner. I'm going back to those great friends of mine. And I'm going where the folks are kind of strangers. I'm going where they don't let you down. I'm going where life's not so full of dangers. So get out of my way, 'cause I'm homeward bound. I'm going where the folks are kind of strangers. Going where they don't let you down. I'm going where life's not so full of dangers. And now I thank God that I'm really home. And now I thank God that I'm really home.
Okay, look, it's been a pleasure performing for you people out there, and I hope you've got thick wallets tonight, because we want to get some money raised for the Miramichi Salmon Association and the good work they're doing. Thank you very much, and enjoy your night. Bye.
Yes, and I would like to repeat the same words that David said. How did you start that anyway, David?
Thank you.
And David Wade. We filmed that video in David's studio looking down over the Grand Pass up on the St. John River. And thanks, guys, for a great job on behalf of MSA. So, time for some more auction items. And as David said, get out those thick wallets. Here's Butch.
So before I dive into some of these auction items, I just wanted to point out that on our website, up in the corner, there's a little green button that says donate. So if you can't find anything that in this 90 item auction to bid on that suits your fancy and you feel like participating, you can make a donation to us there up in the corner. Some of the items here up next, this first one is an original watercolor by Henry McDaniels, one of my favorite sporting artists. It's called Leaping Salmon. We looked at, we had a hard time trying to find a value on this, so we asked our friend Daniel Porter to look it up. He thought that a fair price for it would be in the $3,000 to $3,500 range. So we've got it up there for $2,000, and sadly no bids on it. So that would be a nice one for us to get some bids on. This next fishing trip is to Little Forks Lodge. I'm not sure if you've ever been there, but it's a spectacular place. It's 3 days of fishing for 6 rods, and it's for August or September of 2021. The bid's currently at $2,500, so a great trip. And if you divide that by 6 guys, I mean, that's some pretty good wilderness fishing for you there. This next trip was donated by Newfoundland Outfitting. It's to Newfoundland, obviously. Flights are not included in this, but transport to the lodge once you land in Newfoundland is. It's 2 rods for 5 days of fishing, and it's from August 15th to the 20th of next year. We've got 1 bid on that, so the value of the trip is somewhere in the $7,000 range, which we would normally sell for. So a bargain at $4,000 right now. And I don't even really want to highlight this box of flies by Brian Cummings because it typically gets, Brian was nice enough to donate it for this event. He would have donated it for the icebreaker, but I've seen this box of flies get as much as $400 or $500 in a live auction. I am the high bidder at $150, so I'm kind of working against myself here, but some great items there, so we encourage you to bid on them. And back to you, Greg.
Thank you very much, Butch. Some great items there. Let me vouch for that Little Forks trip. It's probably my favorite place in the whole world to go salmon fishing. Anybody could catch a fish there. I was there last year with Rick Kunjak, and he even caught fish. So you should sign up for that one. So now, I hope you're ready for another Hook A video. So I'm going to ask our producer, Brian Cassidy, to roll out Hook A one more time.
Shut up, you know?
Biggest fish I ever caught. Oh my god, beauty. Oh, she's ready to go. Good job. Oh! Landed the biggest fish of my life. Oh my God. Oh, so we were about to leave. Jeff said, I'm not feeling this spot. I said, you know what, I can just change my fly. I gotta do quarter drop, swing it hard, boom! And then, good job, bro.
We can smell each other lying.
Nope. So our next storyteller is Betty Fitzpatrick. Betty grew up on the Miramichi like many Miramichiers. She can't quite decide what she loves more, hunting or fishing. And as you listen to Betty this evening, take note of her fashion sense, her earrings, her necklace, her shirt in particular. She's also a longtime MSA supporter. I won't say how long, and I dare say much longer than most of you. So, a video featuring Betty Fitzpatrick.
Born in Chatham, Brunswick, and we're living in Fredericton right now. Have been for a little over 30 years. But I'm a Miramichier, and I always will be. My earliest memory, well, first of all, I'm an only child, and I was supposed to be a boy. Most fathers wanted a son. So I tagged along with my dad everywhere, and he was a great outdoorsman. Hunting and fishing was his love. And so I became involved way below school age, I'd say, and enjoyed every minute of it. And I still do. And I encourage